Hey everyone.
Now to read.
GM.
G to the M. Tango Mike. Agent Solace. What's up, guys? Zana. Jindo. Our remote worker friends. Falcor. You know that Jindo took a remote job just to be able to chat with us more?
What a legend.
I don't know if that's how the chain of events went through, but we're going to pretend that was the case.
Yeah, we'll feel better. We'll feel better this way.
Mm-hmm. Let's hear it. $25 raise.
Bro, that's money, bro.
$25 raise? Holy. Is that an hour? Holy moly.
That's per year.
Imagine.
It could be a 25% raise depending on the rate, you know?
Jesus.
Yeah. John Carlos. John Carlos came here for the alpha. Well, we have Michael here.
Yeah, you came to the right place.
We do have Michael here.
So there won't be any alpha today.
Yeah, it's all about how good the conversation will be, you know.
Exactly.
And
If you
see
guys
what
can get
happens.
Michael hyped, alpha leaks.
Yes.
True sentences. After a while, that's not.
Ahota, Fury, Icy,
Freaka
Zavis.
leak.
Freaka Leak.
Freaka leak. I don't know why.
That's the first time I hear that one.
Come on, Freaka leak. I don't know why, but that does sound like something Michael would do. Freaka leak. Isaac. Oh,
We lost Santi.
Santi got booted.
Yeah. Too much pressure having the camera on.
Give that man a couple of shots to get some leaks. Jeez. We're all gonna just start taking shots before these brews.
Come on, guys. It's 11 a.m. I've already taken a couple of shots.
Oh god.
Respect my history.
All right. I tried to turn my camera on and my Discord crashed, but I'm back.
Oh,
Phoenix.
look at that.
Wow.
Oh,
Is
that's
that
actually a
Solana?
sick
That looks
shirt.
pretty-
1-of-1.
Yeah. That's pretty dope.
That looks pretty clean. Yeah.
I wish I got the white one, though. I think we actually, some of these got given away at the Impact Summit. Pretty sure.
Did it?
Really?
I
think
think
so.
I would have got one. What the hell?
I would have stolen one if that.
Yeah,
was
what
the
the
case.
hell? I would have stolen too.
Yeah. All right. Welcome, everyone. We have the Atlas Brew number 157 today. And this is the part 2 from the last conversation we had, where I know a lot of people were super excited about it and didn't want us to break the conversation. So we're coming back. Now we brought special guest Michael Wagner to stage as well. And we're going to be chatting about, last conversation was about the current state of play to earn and the possibilities for the future, but we didn't really get to speak a lot on the future part of it. So I don't know what. Oh, no way.
Yeah, no way.
No
you're
way.
doing this.
Dude, just go ahead and carry on with the news.
No way you're doing this.
No,
Oh
you
my
need to
God.
explain what you are doing here. Oh my
No,
god.
What are you
I'll
doing there?
explain after the news.
Okay.
We can go through noteworthy news. Nobody's going to pay
Jesus
attention to
Christ.
them.
Yeah,
But-
exactly.
That's how we start the brew. By the way, this was definitely not planned. Just
No,
for
this
the
is
literally not.
Michael Wagner going crazy.
I'm just playing Sage.
Bro. Yeah, Sage.
It's plain Sage, casual
Sage.
Sage. But yeah, noteworthy news. You guys can apply right now to join the Vantara.
Mhm.
So that is one big new. So the Vantara Dom, you want to cover it?
Oh no, go for it. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Go for it, brother.
No, absolutely. So the Vantara is a special group for UE5 testers. So you guys can join to test our UE5 game. You will be having some benefits, of course, like early access to features and also possibilities to earn assets by contributing to the development of the UE5 game. So that is pretty huge. We'll have, I wouldn't call them terms, but the first one will last for sure 6 months, and the people who perform well, they will keep on the, they will still be on the list for the next 6 months. So every 6 months we'll have a review on who's doing great and who shouldn't continue. So if you have time, you're fluent in English, you can totally participate in the Vantara and be part of this special group. So, Dom, anything to add there?
Nothing else to add. We're just officializing the UE5 testing and making it more official with rewards and officially recognizing you guys. So we have honestly, a lot more interest than I thought there was going to be in the form. And so if you're not selected, please don't be mad. Don't be mad at us. We've actually had some people mad at us in the past, and it was less than 100. We have a significant amount of people who have applied to join the Vantara. So if you are not chosen, please don't be mad. But we are going to be pretty strict with who we pick here. We're looking for interest in the Unreal Engine product, you guys actually playing the product, interest in bug stomping, activity in the Discord server. That's what we're looking at. And like Santi said, we're officializing it a lot more. We're putting some rewards into it. So that's why we're being a little bit more strict with this selection process. So hope you guys, if you guys do want to apply, please do so now. It's going to close tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific time. 12 p.m. Pacific time is when it's closing. So that's in about 25 hours from now. So if you want to apply, you have 25 hours to do so. But yeah, I'll leave it there and stop rambling. Appreciate all the interest though, guys. Really do.
Yeah, more than 100 people applied to join that group, so that's actually a lot. So yeah, and I'm sure we're going to get super high quality people. And for what it's worth, ever since we added the testers to the UE5 launch process, it sped up the development process a lot, and we have collected a ton of value from reports and allowed us to ship faster. So yeah, I think it's super valuable. If you have time, definitely worth participating and joining. So make sure to apply.
How many are you guys selecting again for that? How many get to join the program?
10, more or less. Yeah.
Más o menos?
Más o menos.
It depends. If we have like 11 people who are really good, we'll select 11. If we have 9 that are really good, we'll select 9. It depends. Depends on the quality of the individuals.
Yeah. Make sure to have a good application there on why you should join. Yep. And then another noteworthy new important is that we relaunched our Telegram community. So our Telegram is live now. If you use Telegram, you're more than welcome to join the community. We're exploring. We used to have Telegram. We removed it just because we didn't have the resources, I think, to maintain it at the moment. And Telegram was also not pretty good when it came to user experience. But now it got a lot better. You can have different channels. You can have an announcement channel. So it is way better now. So we're relaunching it, and we'll see where it goes. So make sure to join if you like Telegram. If you hate it like Galia Merchants, then just don't join. We don't want you to suffer. So
do not suffer. Do not suffer.
Do not suffer. If you don't like Telegram, you can stay in the Discord. Don't worry. Nobody's threatening you to join. But there's going to be a Titan giveaway on Telegram. No, I'm joking. There's not going to. But yeah. If you want to support the community, Stick, shout out to Stick. He did a fantastic job helping us relaunch the Telegram. It's looking really pretty, really nice. So shout out to Stick. he's there in the chat, and he invited Michael to the next Spanish Brew. So
I like how you just
assistance
casually
confirmed.
dropped the Titan giveaway exclusively for Telegram users.
for Telegram. The airdrop? No, I'm joking. But yeah, you guys can join. More than welcome. Then another noteworthy news is something that is happening tomorrow. And I don't know, Gareth, if you want to comment on it. But we have the Econ Forum happening tomorrow. The guys are going to be covering the state of the economy, a bunch of different topics. I'm not sure if we want to spoil, but Gareth, if there's anything that you want to tell the audience.
Yeah, no, we won't spoil anything yet, but the guys have let us know what you're all asking about and are interested in, so we'll definitely be sure to cover a lot of those points as well as a few that we've picked out. So make sure to join us, and should be a great time.
Absolutely. Tomorrow, same time as the brew, we will have the Econ Forum. So for all the Econ nerds out there, that I'm sure it's like 100% of the people that are here. So yeah.
And this is the place where you ask questions, by the way. If you have any concerns or like anything that you're like, what is going on here, or why is this happening, or why are you doing things like this? This is the place to ask your question. You'll have Chris and Gareth kind of presenting things, but also there to answer your guys' questions. So if you guys ever have any questions, you guys always ask us questions, like the community team, and we're definitely not suited to answer some of those questions. So this is the actual place for you to ask these questions and get a good answer. So make sure you join if you're even remotely interested or have any questions for the econ guys.
Yeah. True. Very
Swag,
true.
is the kitchen in the background real, bro?
Green screen.
Green screen, bro.
Green screen. Yeah. Yeah. We'll do MasterChef next. That'll be one of the events that we do.
That would be funny.
Yeah, yeah. But there are also news coming from the DAO side of things. So there are a bunch of pips out there that reached the end of voting phase, and one that is reaching it today. So we had pip number 12, the Iris Bounty, passed. So that is budget for Star Atlas meetups around the world. That has passed. I think it's a great one, definitely. There's a lot of value in meeting people in real life and creating connections. I think I've said it many times, but one of the top experiences for me in the Star Atlas community have always been when I get to meet everyone from the Discord, from Twitter, from the community in real life. So you can request a budget for a meetup, organize something in your area, and get a bunch of people joining you. So I think there's a lot of value in doing that and rallying the community to meet in real life. So looking forward to those. Looking forward to that. Then we have the first pip that was rejected. So pip number 13, which was wanted to impose council term limits, has been rejected. It's the first pip that gets rejected by the DAO voters. So maybe it's the number 13. It's some people believe it's a jinx number, so I don't know. But yeah, it's the first pip that hasn't passed. But yeah, that is interesting. And then pip 14, which meant to deepen Theo integration from Tool. It's at 94% yes, and it closes in 6 hours if I am not mistaken. So pip number 14, you can go and vote right now if you want to see deeper Theo integration, which is the Tool AI bot, into Star Atlas. So you can go vote now. So far, I think it has like 94% yes. So you guys can go and vote if you want. Get that PvP in motion. So I think that covers everything. Anything we missed? Tom, Jose, Michael?
No. I think we're good, brother.
I might I might just take a moment here to first publicly thank the first council. Thank First Council did an incredible job shepherding us through the very first stages of the proposal process, establishing some frameworks, laying the groundwork. So want to thank everyone who participated in the First Council for their service to the community, to the ecosystem. As heated as some of the discussions could get in the DAO chat, I think everybody should show some appreciation just for the contribution of time that that the First Council made, and welcome the Second Council. They've hit the ground running. There's a hell of a lot of enthusiasm out of that group, moving pretty fast with a lot of good ideas and a lot of positive intent on how to impact the Star Atlas ecosystem again. Of course, there was some carryover of a couple of members, Carlos and Bodhi, both served on Council 1 and now on Council 2. The one other thing I would reinforce here, and it's not a negative, but and I've already seen this kind of brought out with a post that Signal made and indications via icons of items that are actionable or pips that are actionable. I just want to remind everyone in the community that the current stage that we're in is relatively restricted in terms of authority that the DAO has, that the community has, PvP holders have. We really should be focused exclusively on ways to leverage the DAO treasury to grow the ecosystem. And that is an extremely wide mandate, but it is access to capital that allows you to support third-party development, marketing activities, things like community events. We're already seeing a bunch of proposals come through across those, but anything that you think could positively impact the growth, awareness, visibility, and distribution of Star Atlas, those are all actionable, valid proposals to submit. Where it is a little bit restricted is on any type of procedural change or process change or kind of, I don't know, legal framework of the DAO itself. That's not a stage that we're at today. I would argue actually that PIP 13, that was a change to term limits on the council, was probably outside of scope and outside of mandate. From my perspective, that one was a bit more concentrated on one of the new features to come from the DAO, which was the creation of the council itself. And so, I think that one was okay to get through. But just to reinforce here, we're focused on leveraging the DAO treasury, and we all have this phenomenal asset in the DAO itself, in the sense that, Automata from the start created segregated revenue streams between us as a studio and then the community and the ecosystem, and all of that revenue that's being generated off of gameplay activity that's going direct to the DAO. That's a huge resource and pool of capital for us to leverage right now. So that's really it. Wanted to make sure everybody was focused in the right place and focused on the right thing. And again, major appreciation for the First Council that served, and a big welcome to the Second Council.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing to add to that, Michael, is that and you kind of mentioned it, one of the key things that I feel like proposals should focus on a lot is on breaking the echo chamber. That is one thing that we've been sharing on X and saying internally as well. But any help from the community, I would say, or any alignment from the community on helping us break into new audiences or doing cool stuff that could get eyes from people from the outside, I think that is money well spent by the DAO. And I know that there are some hesitations from people or from builders saying, I want to do something that brings money back to the DAO, like in a revenue share or something like that. But, and this is just my opinion, I wouldn't worry too much about that. I would worry more about like what are the results that you can get, even if they are not directly monetarily implicit, let's say. But if you can bring new users in, if you can improve the quality of life of the current user base, I think those are all super valuable things where you can tap into the ecosystem fund without the need of or feeling an obligation to repay that money, right? If you repay it in new users or better quality of life for everyone who is active, I think it goes a really long way. But again, just my personal 2 cents to Atlas on that. So, yeah.
I think that's true, Santi. I would also perhaps note here, though, I think what came up in the Tool proposal, and John Ennis, CEO of Tool, mentioned specifically in the reformatting and restructuring of their own proposal was the idea that they would return capital back to the DAO. I think that is absolutely a net positive. In a way, the DAO treasury can serve as a quasi hedge fund or kind of VC fund of sorts with a specific mandate to focus on those projects that are contributing to the growth of Star Atlas. But to whatever extent there's a way that those projects are monetizing and generating their own revenue, if a capture of those revenue streams go back into the DAO, it just helps grow that treasury more over time, diversified revenue streams off of multiple entities, including the Star Atlas game. So that is very much a net positive for the ecosystem. And to your point on the echo chamber, and this might actually segue into the topics that we're going to discuss today around play to earn and future of the metaverse, future of what we call the cyber nation. Is we've had big internal efforts focusing on how do we kind of break out of this golden cohort diehard community. You guys that are here on this call right now, as powerful and as appreciative as we are of the existing community, our goals and ambitions around growth and kind of civilization within the cyber nation are massive. And I genuinely do think that our potential here is well beyond any benchmark against any traditional game or MMO that's out there. There's been a lot of talk in the community about things like HRZ and benchmarking against EVE Online and the 25 to 40,000 DAUs there. Well, I think the opportunity set of Star Atlas is far in excess of that. Millions of potential daily active users, not necessarily just as players, but as participants in this new digital society. And so, if we're looking at maybe 100 million, 200 million, 500 million people participating and engaging in Star Atlas in some way, which is not inconceivable if you look at the success just of social media platforms and how many people engage there, then that's part of breaking the echo chamber, reaching that wider audience, and thinking more deeply about how that contributes to the growth of the DAO and the value of Polis and the value of PvP is the core revenue stream as it's defined today into the DAO treasury is based off of gameplay activity. So the bigger this society gets, the more GDP is created in some level of transactional activity between users. That means more effectively taxation is captured and delivered to the DAO. And so the growth potential and the funding potential of the DAO alone is just incalculable. I would argue. It's very difficult to say what it could be, but I love the work that the Econ's team is doing. And Gareth, you've done tremendous work on the quarterly state of the economy reports and looking at benchmarking our GDP and per capita GDP against that of other real live physical nation states in the world, and we're already competitive with a relatively small user base. So just imagine where this can go if we got 1 million people engaged in Star Atlas. And again, I think that kind of segues into this future of play to earn.
Perfect segue, I think, for the conversation we're about to have, actually. Just some little context before we transition into it. This is part 2 from the previous brew, where we spoke about the state of play to earn now. We talked about the games that are out there, the games that are succeeding, the games that aren't. So if you want to catch up to that conversation, you can watch the brew later. But we had to cut it a bit short. We didn't get to talk a lot about the future of play to earn. Is play to earn dead? What is the future of Star Atlas? So it's more of this is a completely theory crafting type of conversation in which we get into also from philosophical topics to just theory crafting about the future and what can happen and where we're going and how we're going to get there. So it's a wide topic, and we want to cover it together with you guys. We want to hear what the committee has to say. So I think we can get started right now. And Michael, what you were saying is a perfect segue for a question to start talking about this, which is, and this is also for the chat, where do you guys see Star Atlas 5 to 10 years from now? I think it's a big question, right? But it's a good first question to get started on this topic? I don't know who wants to take it first.
Yeah.
I think the man, the
I
legend.
I think a lot of us have a lot to say here.
Yeah.
I can say a lot here. 5 to 10 years from now, my gosh. I mean, ideally, most if not all of our roadmap is complete, depending on what year we're on. I have a lot of aspiration towards changing the world, and I think Star Atlas can genuinely change the world. I've talked about it before. I scream it into the ether. I tell my friends all the time that I genuinely feel like Web3 gaming, Star Atlas, the digital economy can genuinely change the world because it can eliminate borders. Countries that are maybe less fortunate, it can provide ways for individuals to make money. And I think as time goes on in the future, and this isn't even just from like a monetary standpoint, but I feel like the world is kind of blending together more and more every day, just maybe through the internet, like us right now. Like Jose is Brazilian, you're Argentinian, I'm in the United States. I'm sure everyone in the audience is from some random part of the world, and so the internet has already changed the world in a way where the whole world is interacting with each other, which is pretty fairly new to humanity. And I would say that same thing is going to happen with the economy, and we're going to start to see these other places that maybe don't have the greatest economy in their country start to really do well, and maybe that's through a digital economy because the people are going to start working in a digital economy and making more money than they would have if they were working in their own country. So I think there's going to be a lot of different changes, and I know that question that I could go really deep into that question on everything that could be there in 5 to 10 years, but I just wanted to start it off there. That I think it can definitely change the world, and if anyone wants to add on to it, please go for it.
To piggyback off that, Dom, just scaling that up a bit, we're in the age of information at the moment. Scaling all the way back to the release of the iPhone and prevalence of social media and things. We're pretty heavily into that new age of just tech and innovation. The way it's heading, we can almost see a transition here into an almost engagement and attention age or section of or a subset of an age. And as we get into that sort of engagement centered and attention centered economy, where we already have the big players like Facebook, TikTok, whoever fighting for your attention. Will governments sort of acknowledge that as a means for trade? And where I'm going with this is, as Star Atlas becomes more competitive on a global scale and relates more to even some G7 nations, will there be opportunity for trade of attention? What that could look like is, maybe it's server uptime. Do certain nations get access to algorithms or compute power that's available globally? And is that traded? And does Star Atlas, once recognized as a legitimate economy worldwide, do we get some sort of trade benefit there? I know this is quite a big idea, but it's with the topic of trade being pretty prevalent recently, how does Star Atlas break into becoming an official global power? And I think a big portion of that is going to be availability to trade between countries. We don't really have the luxury of physical goods, but and I'm sure inter metaverse or inter digital nation state trade will come first. But 5 to 10 years, at the rate things are going with productivity and I guess productivity as a whole, that's going to be quite a parabolic increase in our ability or opportunity to break in and really become a globally recognized power.
That is super interesting, actually. We'll see Michael Wagner shaking hands with Trump in a country-to-country negotiation. That could be pretty wild.
I'm gonna be bumping up my personal security
Yeah, actually talking
from
about
zero,
that
from zero, by the way, to something.
From 0 to Jose. Now you have Jose, bro.
yeah, if you think about that, like in classical political theory, to form a country, what you have, like what are the elements that form a country? First is an identity element. Like all of us here, we choose to be part of this adventure. Right now, like I have more in common with you guys than most of the rest of the Brazilians, which are the guys that I have been born in this country, you know? So this is something that I chose to be part of. And this is one of the biggest appeals of Star Atlas, right? So we have this common element, we have our common culture, and we'll have our own our system of rules. We'll have a universe with rules given by the blockchain that requires no trust, no factual leadership to have everything moving forward. We don't need to ask permission for anyone to set up business in Galia, you know. We don't need permissions to make trade between someone who lives in Argentina, someone who lives in Brazil. No, everything, this territory, that's the last element of building a country. Our territory is everywhere. We don't have borders. We don't have limitations. So, right, I strongly believe that we'll be the first ones to leave this transition where people now are able to choose where they belong in the metaverse. And for me, this is one of the biggest things, one of the biggest quality leaps in humanity. We won't be bound exclusively by aleatory variables like we are born in Brazil, we are born in Argentina, so we are fated to be constrained by the rules of those territories. No, we'll have alternatives. And I feel like we are the first group of people that actually sees this horizon forming right now. And this is very powerful. This is a vision that people can get behind and build something beautiful. And that's the ultimate vision for Star Atlas. It always been.
Oh, true. Michael, how do you see it comparing in that sense where we're talking about nations, we're talking about, I know that the concept of cyber nation has been more and more a thing here in Star Atlas, but how do you see it becoming a reality, right? Like in the next 5 years, and how is that going to be managed at the same time? Like how would it change the world order as well? I know these are big questions, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I think the comments that have already been made have been beautifully said, and I share the sentiment across all of them. I think at a high level, we're over the next 10 years, we're either going to collapse into global apocalypse or we're going to rapidly expand into the singularity. So let's pray for the latter and hope for progress and evolution here. I think that is the direction it will move towards. Technology will overcome conflict. From the Star Atlas perspective, just looking at 5 years, to Dom's point, we should be largely feature complete in 5 years, and that feels pretty good. So if we just kind of, and I'll say this loosely, but if we look at it from the smallest scale of what it is that we want to accomplish, it's building this ultra high fidelity, ultra immersive space adventure MMO. That's the core essence and cornerstone of what it is that we're creating. That singular experience is what allows us to instantiate the migration of people into a digital society. Why would you want to play or join Star Atlas as a universe? Well, because there are a lot of cool things to do there. It creates a compounding effect, though, and a desire for more people to join when opportunity is present. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy in so many ways, but we need something as a core attraction. That is the game. that's the essence of what Star Atlas is now. When we look at the bigger picture and we look at 10 years from now, why would people want to join? Well, it's the same reason why people want to advertise on platforms like X or Instagram or Facebook. It's because there's a ton of users there that you can market to. And that might sound somewhat exploitive to a way, but people will see that user base and that digital society as an opportunity. And people will want to flock to that and want to participate in that. And from that, we can see compound growth outside of a gamer audience into a global audience. And that's why I'm saying, I think our opportunity set is much bigger than any game or MMO that you could benchmark us against, because what really differentiates us and the true innovation here is real money transactions and true economic value in a virtual system or digital universe, digital world. So I think that is incredibly powerful, and that leads to growth of business, growth of marketability and trade opportunities, growth in marketing opportunities, growth in social opportunities as well. If you look at a product like Second Life, for example, there's not really anything to do. Like Second Life doesn't actually have the core. I'm not super familiar with it, so I'm kind of speaking out of turn here. But Second Life doesn't necessarily have the core gaming experience that brings people in. But what you see is a proliferation of social activity and groups within Second Life, and so that's like another vertical or category of potential growth for Star Atlas as well. Let's go hang out in this deeply immersive central space station where I can completely escape from reality for a period of time and connect with digital friends. And I think this is kind of aligned with what Jose was saying about his connection to people in Star Atlas is actually greater than his connection to some people that are regionally and geographically next to him. Right. And that's kind of what the internet brought about, was this ability to connect with people all over the world, share information, share education. And Garrett's comments specifically speak to, oh man, I'm blanking on the book, and it's one that I actually love, but it talks about progression of society through really the 4 key epochs of economic development, from hunter-gatherer to industrial age, and ultimately getting into where we are now in the information age. And so you're able to, or at least in theory and in concept, over time, you're going to be able to recreate more of yourself in a digital universe. And so what I think is really cool about 10 years from now is that at Automata, we will want to be pioneers and stay on the bleeding edge of technology and think about like true levels of immersion and simulation. And that's like not just virtual reality, but thinking about the potential of Neuralink and BCIs, brain compute interfaces, where you can legitimately be plugged in. And whether or not this is you're going all the way back to 2021, Jason Silva Rebirth campaign, talking about uploading your digital consciousness to the machine, like whether or not that becomes a possibility or not, I don't know. But over a long enough timeline, I think it probably will be accurate, and you get you get simulations within simulations. And so that's where I think this is all essentially going. But haptic feedback, sensory feedback, brain computer interface, true immersion, and a sense that you're genuinely living within this universe of Star Atlas.
Absolutely. That is super interesting. And yeah, just to echo what you were saying and what Jose was saying, the fact of like that we resonate more with this society that we have here than the real world is already happening, right? Like you can already benefit from it. We don't have the immersion yet in UE5 that is required to do that, but in a way, Discord fulfills that. And also, the real world at the same time blends with it in some way, where you can go to meetups, you can, if you travel somewhere in the world, you can probably find the Stratus community member as well, which is already pretty epic, to be honest. So, yeah, I think that is kind of already happening. But we have other things that we wanted to cover here, which is, it's a little bit about that, what you were speaking of, Michael, and some people in the chat also mentioned and I think Jose mentioned it as well, where the barriers of the real world will start to merge and melt with the metaverse, right? And how do we see that happening? I think that is a big question. One of the examples I know that Michael you gave in the early stages of Star Atlas was, in the future you will be able to buy something in the CSS and you get it delivered to your door, right? But I think that is just one example. It can go way further. It can go to what you're saying, Michael, where you can upload your consciousness maybe in the be a Neuralink in this Atlas metaverse or something like that. I think that's also a very, very interesting conversation to have. And there are many ways in which we can see this happening, from just buying a Coca-Cola and getting it to your door to anything else.
Like, I can totally imagine one day, Santi, you buying a ticket on one of the CSSs to join an expedition on a Joy Dasteris across wild sectors in Galia Expanse. You go there, traveling in this Joy Dasteris, you have a sense of smell, you can hear the sounds, you can look through the window and see a supernova happening in the horizon. You are there with your friends, just chilling, just watching the world of Star Atlas unfold before your eyes. You can even have a good meal there. You can taste food. And pirates attack the ship. So you see all of this happening. You are in the midst of this crisis. You grab your weapons. You try to fight them off, you know? I think it's going to be super wild. Like, this opens the door to so many stuff. To I love Bomber saying, but you lose because pirates. Yeah, it's going to be super fun. Like, I mean, and you can bring your friends to Star Atlas as well, right? You can bring your real friends and just chill around Galia Expanse. You can live the life of a farmer in one of the moons in the safe zone, just chilling, you know, doing your Stardew Valley vibe, honest work, contributing to Galia economy, you know? This will open so many doors for melting the barriers between the two worlds that, bro, the possibilities are endless.
True. Another barrier that will be melted is the real world finance with the metaverse as well. So, and Michael, you probably have experience on this one as well, but what are some, and the audience as well, I would love to see in the chat what you guys think, but what are some classic finance stuff that can be, that we can have in the future in Star Atlas, right? Like a mortgage for a ship or a CSS, for example, something like that. What other things do you guys see happening?
Man, huge kind of question there, because there's so many facets of traditional finance that could be replicated in a virtual world. In particular, we're already seeing a lot of traditional financial vehicles being recreated in some form through DeFi on blockchain right now. But any level of securitization, I think, is largely feasible. So securitization is effectively the group funding of any type of activity or potential investment. War bonds, for example, could be issued, and the war bonds could be issued by a faction. They could be issued by a DAC. They could be issued by a region that are either funding defense or interest in overtaking a particular territory in space. And the war bond is structured in a way that either pays out a fixed interest rate out to the people that have purchased those bonds, or perhaps it pays out spoils of war, based on whether or not that side of the conflict wins or not. You mentioned mortgages, but sure, maybe somebody wants to purchase a mortgage for a condo on a central space station that's strictly somebody who's a social player. I think our fleet rental system is actually an example of a version of traditional financial vehicle that's being implemented into Star Atlas today. Access points to resources and capital assets like our ships, or ships via fleets, is a version of finance integrated into the game. The other thing that I would say, maybe just one more example, and this is probably more of a more basic consumer level, but it's just the idea of banking. And I think that this is particularly relevant for players who are generating real revenues off of their activities in a digital world. But what do you do? How can you take advantage of your earnings and implement them or incorporate them into some type of savings plan that produces interest and yield over time? Like right now, the lockers in a way produce that yield for players, but I could see banking services come in that are willing to take your Atlas, pay you a yield on that Atlas, and then go do commercial finance around the world. The banks, then the institutions in Star Atlas, are effectively implementing the exact same way that the world works with banks now. We as consumers deposit our money. Those banks take that money and loan it out to other people. They pick up interest on it, and they essentially have a split on that yield or a delta where they're making a certain amount and they're paying out a certain amount to consumers. So, I mean, it's like anything that you can imagine that incorporates finance in the world today is going to be replicated in digital worlds as well.
I already see the DAX stocks being traded on Nasdaq
Great example.
blockchain.
The Dow
That
Jones,
is
DAO, the Dow Jones.
the Dow Jones.
That's awesome. We need to write this down, Santi. The Dow Jones.
There really
Yes,
is so much
absolutely.
that can happen. Like, just because we're going from physical to digital doesn't mean anything that makes sense in real life doesn't transfer over to the digital life. I see so many different things happening. Not to get into the rabbit hole, but insurance will be one of them. I see a lot of different betting things happening. Like I imagine like maybe some DAX will go to war, and then people are it's similar way where you maybe sports betting. Maybe there'll be like war betting or something like that and Star Atlas. Like I see so many different things. Anything that makes sense in the physical world, I think will just move on to the digital world. So I think there's going to be a lot, and I really do think everyone here and who's going to be playing Star Atlas, especially in the early days, are pioneers of pioneers. Like you guys are going to be building all these businesses, and I think a lot of them are going to make sense, and I think a lot of people are going to be very successful. Not advice or anything like that, but
Yeah.
I do think there's going to be a lot here.
And Star Atlas is being structured to work this way, right? The game, as we always like to say, you are playing right now the easiest day of Star Atlas. Every day that passes, Star Atlas will become more robust. There will be more requirements to do actions in game. You need to specialize in different aspects of the Star Atlas economy to be successful. And this will cause jobs to appear naturally in the market. We'll have enterprises of people that will just mine hydrogen, for example. Others will be refiners into fuel and things like that. So there will be a whole workforce that needs to participate in this economy. Like this is the grand vision of Star Atlas: is generating jobs, generating occupations, generating an infinite numbers of careers in game, so that you can find the place that you want to be, how you want to participate in this huge economy. And this is, for me, this is the biggest appeal in the Star Atlas game: creating entertaining careers that people will want to feel in and be part of something that's totally driven by us. It's not randomly dropping from the sky. No, all activity in game is driven by the players' demand and players' interests. And as we add layer after layer in our game development, this grows exponentially. Like this is limitless. This I get super hyped when I think about this.
There's
Yeah,
going to be
that's
a big workforce. Yeah, go for it, Gareth.
yeah, that's a great point, Jose. These financial tools and the path to a full one-to-one replication of a real-world financial system will come as markets develop, right? Like our housing market, for example, is extremely small, just given how well housing is built out within Star Atlas at the moment. But as that matures and develops, opportunities will arise, which will make their way in front of players that'll be able to make the choice to act on that through the creation of businesses or, as you said, mortgage lenders or things like that. And the best part of that, and honestly, it goes back to the question about closing the gap between the real world and the digital nation state, is that we can define how these markets mature in a fun way. So I know we talk about work and having a job a lot. Traditionally, that is, a not an exciting phrase. Where nobody wants to work, nobody lives to work, right? For the most part, that's generally the consensus. In Star Atlas, we can tailor that so that fun is related to work as opposed to working to get home. So you can have careers that are maybe farming, but for half the time you're fighting off pests or some species that's trying to destroy your crops, right? Like there's value in the time investment, and we can shape that time investment in any way we want. So as those are built out and as these markets mature and in the way we define them, we'll see both the bridge between the global economies and ours dissipate, as obviously people value fun more than manual labor for the most part, and then simultaneously those markets will mature and implement avenues that are very similar to global financial systems. So super cool. And 5 to 10 years, who knows, but that'll naturally develop over time. So
yeah, I think the job market in the Star Atlas universe is going to be actually insane. There's going to be so much room for specialization in Star Atlas, and especially if you're an entrepreneur and you create a business, or maybe you create a guild and you turn that guild into a business, or a DAC into a business. You're going to need a lot of manpower, and you're going to need a lot of people, and that's also where the need for a workforce in the Star Atlas universe is where I think it will also change the world, the physical world. I'll give a real life example of where I actually think this can change the world, and where I can think it can maybe first change the world. As an example, maybe we get to a point where Star Atlas needs workers. Certain people, certain entrepreneurs make businesses, and they need workers in game. We have Atlas Grace. Atlas Grace in Cambodia is right now already providing people with ships to perform things and make some Atlas. Imagine Atlas Grace expands all over Cambodia, and one PC cafe turns into 5 PC cafes. 5 PC cafes turn into 100 PC cafes, and all of a sudden, Cambodia is now a hub for workers in the Star Atlas universe. Mm-hmm. And the country is directly benefiting from the job market in Star Atlas transitioning to Cambodia. And that's directly through Atlas Grace, and maybe that incites other people in Cambodia to do the same thing and start their own PC cafe and hire workers and stuff like that. So that's where I think it can genuinely change the world, and that's what wakes me up in the day is how that can genuinely change things. So and I wanted to give a real life example that I think can genuinely happen, and not happen in like 20 years. I think that can happen in a few. So yeah, and I think it's realistic as well. This is not like a pipe dream. I think it's realistic. So
it kind of happened already. It just wasn't sustainable, right? Like it happened in the Philippines with Axie, where there were cases where even people were even paying the rent in SLP, which was the Axie means of exchange token at the moment. So that was pretty crazy. Like homeowners were taking SLP as a payment for real life rent. Well, we all know how that went. That economy ended up crashing, and some businesses ended up not being sustainable. But I feel like we're on a path to create that in a sustainable way. We're heading in the right direction, and that can happen not only Cambodia, right? Like it can happen anywhere in the world. especially like high adoption crypto countries. And that goes to what you say all the time, Michael, which is a lot of Web3 games try to obfuscate the Web3 technology. Like they're like, no, we don't want people to know they're using crypto, or you're just playing a game, or maybe they just use crypto for the NFTs. But the reality is that we are going a couple steps further, right, Michael? We're betting on education and on changing people's lives based on a better financial system. So I think that is so key, and it's one of the things I love the most about Star Atlas. It has meaning, it has potential. It's not like you just have a couple NFTs and that's it. It's a whole ecosystem. It can be, again, Cyber Nation. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a deviation from our play to earn topic, but I would maybe just take a moment to reinforce what you just said. From a philosophical standpoint, I've been very outspoken about this idea that we should not be obfuscating the tech away from users. Sure, I think there are ways that we can simplify onboarding experiences. Actually, what you guys saw me playing earlier, for anyone that was on or who watches the recording, our own current build of a free-to-play product, simplifying that process to get people intrigued and interested. But I absolutely think it's a disservice if we don't over time inform them of all of the benefits of operating in decentralized ecosystems like crypto and blockchain. Because Star Atlas is not the only opportunity, and one of these other Web3 games is not the only opportunity, and trading skins is not the only opportunity. And it's like there's so much more underpinning the ideology of blockchain and what it represents for end users that we should feel a responsibility and obligation as a team, as a company, and as a community to help educate people on how to get access to this. I mean, maybe Axie is actually an example of that, where there was a means of exchange from the game earnings into real life. And so if all of that happened in the background and people didn't know how to extract the value from a wallet that was actually held on a central server somewhere created by the team in a completely custodial fashion, well, then they don't actually have the benefit of truly owning that currency or that asset that they should possess, and then therefore don't have a way of utilizing it in the real world. And so this is really critical to me over a long enough timeline that we can help, again, educate and inform people on all of the benefits that exist around crypto, not just promote our single product. I actually think that mentality is a very lazy approach to building something in the crypto sphere itself. It's like, yeah, we're going to make it easy to onboard. We're going to take away all of the actual tangible benefits, but we're going to make it easy to onboard so we can grow quicker. And so I think it's a combination of things. Again, our own free-to-play version, some implementations that we have that will simplify the process, the removal of the requirement to create the wallet in Unreal Engine up front. Sure, you don't need all of those things. Let's make sure we capture people who are actually interested first, and then we can give them the Kool-Aid to drink. It doesn't have to happen up front. That's how you start a real cult. You've got to get ideological alignment first. So those are all important. The biggest thing to me, though, is just this proliferation of labor markets that I think will occur in Star Atlas, and it will be through specialization, and not just specialization in gameplay, but specialization in ways that you can participate in new digital economies. IKEA is paying people $22 an hour in their virtual world to be a customer service agent. Like, dude, if IKEA is already doing it, there's no game behind that. Then yes, at some point somebody could be a sales agent in a clothing store on the Oni CSS, selling Reeboks or something to people. So like those are all very real possibilities. Or that one player that doesn't own any assets but has been able to progress along through, say, rentals, for example. They have a license to pilot and command a commander ship, and so now they become a desirable person to hire for someone who doesn't have those licenses and doesn't have that progression, or just simply doesn't have the skill to actually navigate the game in a way that this person does. And so that person could be hired and paid on an hourly basis or an annual basis to service a new digital corporation.
True. It's already happening. It will only be scaled up with blockchain and Web3 gaming. It's really just an enhancement, right? So yeah, we're at the top of the hour. Anything we missed? Any topics we missed to chat about today?
I love this topic.
Yeah, we can make 10 brews about this.
Yeah, even now
Yeah.
it feels like we're cutting it short again.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. No, but we'll bring this topic back for sure. You'll come back. It was good to have you, Michael, on stage as always. Thank you for accepting our humble invite to the Atlas Brew. And
Well, I think we can. I think we can wrap here just with a conversation about, again, Gal ships in the HRC.
I knew it. I knew it. I
Insurance.
knew it. I
and
knew it.
invincibility.
No.
Get me off this stage right
We can
now.
wrap. I think we could wrap that in 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh my
absolutely.
No?
God.
insurance in
Oh
the
my
high risk
God.
zone. That's a Friday night wine and chat conversation.
Yeah. What about the
Yeah.
high risk zone?
Oh
No,
my
no,
God.
no, no, no. I'll be here for 4 hours if we start this.
Any alpha? Well, man, we have some massive projects in development right now across the company. What alpha do I want to share? Want to share dates?
shared a
I
little
don't know.
bit. You shared a little bit earlier today.
Dates. Yeah, you already showed
You
Alpha.
shared today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you weren't
okay.
here at the beginning of the brew, you missed out on something.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah, we're telling Atlas TV to remove it as well. So
Let me close then just with, I think our actual biggest town hall ever will take place sometime in and around July, give or take 4 to 6. There's a lot that's going to be coming out on that timeline. So buckle up.
yeah, 4 to 6, literally 4 to 6.
Is that 4 to 6? It's more like, yeah, that's more like 3 to 6, I think.
Yeah.
Months in my head.
2 to 6. All right. I agree with you, Michael.
Say what year. He didn't say what year. Could be 2026.
Yeah.
Could be 2026.
Yeah.
2027 maybe.
I agree. I agree that mid this year we have a lot of things coming together that will get everyone really excited. But I don't want to be a tease.
Yeah. We have cool stuff.
Yes. All right, we're hosting that one on Carlos' birthday. Yes. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as we did. It was fantastic. Great to have you, Gareth, as well on stage, my friend. You will be on stage tomorrow with the Econ Forum. Everyone here, don't miss it. They're always great. You get to chat directly with Chris, with Gareth. You get to ask them questions. So definitely worth it to join the Econ Forum. And if you don't, we'll see you next week, as always, in the Atlas Brew. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Chat soon.
See you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.